Today is that beautiful Saturday. I know. Y'all know what day it is. It's almost like Christmas Eve, right? Or almost like New Year's Eve, something like that. Because it's Super Bowl weekend, y'all. Super Bowl weekend is like such a big holiday. This thing, it gets promoted and talked about and built up for months. You see what I'm saying? This is something that, especially if you're a sports fan or just someone that's enjoying life, the NFL Super Bowl is like the grand phenomenon, you know? It's like that moment in life. It's like, okay, for many of you, you might have been waking up from last night and from having such a great time, you know what I'm saying, with your spouse or your partner. And it's like the climax. It's like that level you reach. It's like the grand stage right here. The best of the best. Sometimes the best don't make it that year, but they make it back another year, or they finally get there. And then the people, they have even more to celebrate because it's always beautiful. It's always beautiful in the Super Bowl. Sometimes it can be ugly if you're on the losing end. However, just getting there can be quite the experience for any team, I like to think. I'm going to start by just telling you all, if you don't know where the Super Bowl originated, it was years ago. But it's not as old as you might think, because the actuality of it, there were different football leagues and athletic conferences in North America here before the game actually developed into what it is now. And you have the NFC and the AFC going at each other in the Super Bowls. We're going to get to some of these things and how the game is international also right now. Shout out to Rex Ramrod, you know what I mean? The Super Bowl was, used to be a different type of game. And then some of the masses came together, some of the bigger groups and entities, and said, you know, let's collaborate our brand and make this thing a lot bigger. Let's finally do what it do. Give the people what they wanted. More resources, more excitement to, you know, push this actual sport. And so in 1967, keeping 100 with you, that was the first Super Bowl. And that was played in front of a lot of celebrities back then. So you can imagine in 1967, given in time with a lot happening in the 60s at that time in this country, for the Super Bowl to be put together and to be commenced January 15th, 1967, and in all that was going on in this country and the power and the wealth, there was an influence there that was about to grow and a presence that was about to just stay there and only get huger because of the people and the energy that was going to be put into this. Just like anything else, when you're building a brand or when something is starting out, you don't immediately see how far this thing could go or how big it can grow. Just like hip hop. When it started, many people didn't give it enough of the credit and the respect that it deserved. But now look, hip hop is celebrating 50 years. And then on top of things, you have entities like this, the NFL with the Super Bowl. From 1967 to now, this is just around, give and take, 60, it's not even 100 years yet. So just imagine when it does get to 100 years, where the Super Bowl would be. January 15th, 1967, in front of all these celebrities. Played in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. That's where this was at. Shout out to Miss Davis and Istolin. Shout out to everybody that's listening, because this is real support. This is real growth here. DonBoy 718. We're in the building. So the first Super Bowl, January 15, 1967, played in front of all these celebrities and rich folks. The Super Bowl still boasts a lot of wealthy clientele or people that have it. You don't have to necessarily be a millionaire. However, a lot of folks are there because they get tickets, because they saved up for it, or a year. They might have saved up for it a couple of years. Some people might have been given a ticket by a sponsor, their job. Either way, they're going with some type of connection to push this game. And that game in 1967 had 65 million people watching on TV at that time. They became a major entity and a big brand immediately, because you had the American Football League and you had the National Football League, but they were separate. So then when they combined, the same way that the NBA did also back then, you had the American Basketball League and, National Basketball Association, and they get together. Mergers are not nothing new, but when they happen, they create beautiful things like the Super Bowl. And the AFL and the NFL, this was their first ever showdown. These two leagues, they had their own thing going on, but then they just said, let's make it a spectacle. Let's make it a spectacular thing that's never gonna go away. Something that folks gonna look forward to every year, like Christmas. A reason to celebrate with family and friends and close ones, not haters, the Super Bowl. And these two leagues went at it, forming the NFL, and guess who was coaching in this game? Guess who, which team? I'm gonna tell you, you don't have to guess. This game was coached by the inevitable, the legend, Vince Lombardi. You see now when they win the Super Bowl, they get the Vince Lombardi trophy, right? So you see what I'm saying? You never know where these things are gonna grow to be, because when they started it, and when Vince Lombardi is coaching in this thing, he never thought that his name was gonna be on the main trophy, that this is what the players were gonna be fighting for. Even though he did a hell of a job coaching Bart Starr. He brought Bart Starr to the highest level that you can go in the game, to the pinnacle, and said, go ahead, it's up to you now. We're gonna be winners or we not. And here we go, this man Bart Starr did this thing, 250 yards throwing, 2 touchdowns, walked away with the MVP as the Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs was in the very first Super Bowl. So you see there's a history of the Kansas City Chiefs being in the Super Bowl. It's not anything new. Back then, and then they got blown out. Yeah, they got blown out. That Green Bay defense back then was pretty awesome. They were blowing out 35-10, and that was lit. 35-10. And it makes you think that, okay, there's always been good defense in the NFC. Because what are the Green Bay Packers? An NFC team, right? There's been some great wins through time. Remember the 1972 Dolphins. You had the 1985 Bad News Bears. You had the 2007 Tom Brady-led New England Patriots. That 1998 or 99 Super Bowl with New England also, where Drew Bledsoe was hurt and Tom Brady stepped in and brought him that chip. That was pretty awesome as well. Big game, New York Giants, Buffalo Bills back then. Phil Simms, LT, getting busy, holding it down. You know, Thurman Thomas and the boys expecting to get a championship, even though they went 4 years straight. Buffalo Bills went 4 years straight back then in the 90s and didn't pull off one chip. It's been so many great things taking place in the Super Bowl. Records being set. Look at how many people Jerry Rice was burning on that field, and they could not keep up with this man while him and Joe Montana was spreading that brand, creating such a level to live up to in NFL play. Because Jerry Rice and Joe Montana, either way you say it, Rice and Montana or Montana and Rice, that was a collaboration. People ask, who was it before Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey? Who was it before Tom Brady and Gronkowski? Well, it was these dudes, you know? I like to think that you can't forget about Dallas either. Them Dallas Cowboys, the reason why Jerry Jones was such a believer, and he's still a believer right now in his team, not only because he's the owner, but he's a fan of the sport. I'm not a big Dallas Cowboys fan at all. You see what I'm repping. You see that right there. But I respect the culture of the history of this man trying to get this brand to be a top-notch brand and to get them to win. You know what I'm saying? The Dallas Cowboys have had dudes like Troy Aikman, you know, Emmitt Smith, guys that want to get this win. They want to go there. They want to be the best. It's not easy to follow up behind them and pick up pieces that you think are going to win, like a Tony Romo. You know, when you've seen Jerry Jones and his investments there to try to get them where they need to be. Then you've had teams that has had great wins. Surprisingly, they really fought to win. Remember that John Elway team? John Elway, on his way out the door, he took him too. And who did he have over there with him? Mr. Club Shay Shay, you know, Michael Irvin was doing his thing, you know, also on the Cowboys during that era. But Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharp, you know who he was. You know he showed up every game and every day to play for that Denver Broncos team. And he represented. He's still a winner to this day. Look at that. The work ethic and the vibe stay with this man. For him to do his thing. So a lot of greats were created. Ronnie Lott back then, you know, Ed Reed. Woo. We can take it back to the year 2000. Let's go 24 years ago. My New York Giants. We lost to a Baltimore Ravens team led by John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh, okay, he's coached a championship with a Ray Lewis team that took a championship from my New York Giants at that time. And I felt a certain way. I'm in New England and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? My New York Giants are taking a loss and these dudes are moving on. What could I say? To be the champions. Fast forward to 24 years later, now they put the pressure on Lamar Jackson, who we thought was going to be in this year's Super Bowl. But Lamar Jackson, he didn't get to this year's Super Bowl. He came very close. He did what he was supposed to do. He made the moves. He made the sacrifices. He played the game. I mean, the entire team played the game, but they didn't play the game. Their hearts and minds was not all the way 100% in there. Some were distracted. I mean, there could have been some tweaks or some revisions to make things better. However, it came down to players not catching the passes. See, the quarterback's job, okay, even though it entails more than just staying in that pocket and throwing the ball, It's supposed to be a relationship between the quarterback and the receiver, the tight ends, the running backs, the whole team. They have to have that type of bond. They have to have that type of chemistry. They got to go in there and get busy, handle their business the way that is supposed to be. If you slacking today or you don't have your full energy or you can't bring everything that you normally bring, let me know. Let us know ahead of time so we can compensate. So I can pick up a little bit more of the slack for you and we can fight this fight together. That's how I see things here. It's supposed to happen on a team level. I think it's huge. The fact that a lot of these NFL teams, they have to realize you have a mix of athletes, because athletes don't just come in one form or version. And I think this is one of the things that football shows us. When you have a guy like a Lamar Jackson, you have a guy like a Jordy Nelson, you may have someone like, look at C.J. Stroud. I think C.J. Stroud, this young man one day will win a Super Bowl. He's on the right path. Look at what he's done as a rookie. C.J. Stroud, how would they have looked at things if C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans would have surprised everyone and made it to the Super Bowl and been playing the 49ers? They'd have been like, wow, we didn't think that this could happen because the man is a rookie. They didn't think it could happen. Shout out to Nina. Thanks for listening and watching. Everyone that's paying attention, I appreciate you. In the NFL here, we see the buildup. All year, it's been a whole lot of talk about who might make it to the Super Bowl, who we think is going to actually have such an influence. Or some of us believe that the Buffalo Bills was going to be up there this year. I thought the Buffalo Bills was going to be up there this year. We looked at good. I wanted the Bills to be up there last year. Because, see, I'm an all-New York fan. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of the people. So I don't limit myself. They say, oh, you got to pick one team. I do pick one team. I'm with the New York Giants, and I support all New York. So you know, there is no Johnny-come-latelys over here. I just support where I'm from. You should have love for where you from also and push that brand. If you in the Chicago region, show love to the Bears. They had years. They didn't always lose. You in the Wisconsin area, show love to the Green Bay Packers. They'll win again eventually at some point in time. You can't win all the time. Okay, I remember years when Brett Favre was doing his thing. Heavy anticipation. And I'm just going to say, people believe once you become elite that you have a chance to win every year. But just because you're elite or you have the skills, it doesn't get you back to the big game so often. Patrick Mahomes, this young man, his game and his skill set on that field is amazing. He is dedicated. He is focused. He thinks that he's going to win by himself if he have to. If he can't get help, he's going to keep on pushing. Travis Kelce just happens to be a hard worker, and he's there. So he reminds Patrick Mahomes that, like, okay, we can be a 1-2 duo. You're not going to be here winning by yourself. He's like, okay, they comparing you to Tom Brady. So they got to definitely for sure be comparing me to Gronkowski. So if this is the new birth, this is what I'm trying to point out to y'all. When they comparing Patrick Mahomes as the next great one. Look at him already. This is his 4th Super Bowl. This is Patrick Mahomes' 4th Super Bowl. The man is only, 26 or 28, something like that? He's gonna be around for a while. He's gonna be around for a while. And he already has 2 under his belt. This could be his 3rd one. So he'll be 26, 28 years old with 3 Super Bowl rings, provided that they win, because don't take anything away from San Francisco, because the San Francisco 49ers can pull up an upset. These guys are built to win also, and they have a dominant team. They were expected and looked at by many analysts and people to make it last year also as well, and the year before. Because now that they have the addition of Christian McCaffrey, which they didn't have up until 2 years ago, because he was wasting time in Carolina with the Panthers, who with Gettleman and some of the other GMs down there that didn't know what they were doing, and they trying to play this experimental game. This is why Bryce Young isn't winning down there right now. But one day he work with him, let him develop. Christian McCaffrey is over here now with the San Francisco 49ers, and he has brought that impact game and that dedication that he always had as that running back on the team. And combine that with Deebo Samuels and his aggression and playing at a power wide receiver position here. Wow. George Kittle. Should we go on? Brock Purdy, a man that was looked down. They have everything needed to pull off an upset, except that they're playing against a hungry, humble giant in Kansas City. I mean, besides the little distraction that some people point out, and that it could be a distraction for Travis Kelce, if the Kansas City Chiefs don't win, the people are going to be tight because of the distraction of this man's girlfriend and significant other. But we're not there for that. We're there for that entertainment, for that gritty grind, for that play on the field. Because I think that for Kansas City to win today and to become that 3-time champ, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, these guys, they cannot do it alone. They can be really good. They can make it a really interesting game, but they're going to need for Chris Jones and that defense to really be on point and do what they do. I think Chris Jones and the defense are prepped to have a good game today. They just had 2 weeks off. They played with this man money in the beginning of the year. They seen how it was not working out to their benefit. When they give this man Chris Jones his money, which if you don't know Chris Jones, go and look it up. Go check out this man's stats and what this man does in that Kansas City defense. It's not just Patrick Mahomes the reason why these dudes is winning. You got to know who's out there on the field, who is on that team that you are supporting. People support teams for different reasons, but give the players their credit for the hard work and dedication that they bring into the game. And I just say you have to give credit to where it's due. And that's one of those people that deserve it. Definitely. Because there's been scrutiny in the Kansas City Chiefs house about the work ethic of some players, how some people have been moving and going about to get things done, the lack of energy and consistency. Players needed to catch passes. Players were going through their feelings. This is why Kansas City, they were struggling a bit in the beginning. It seemed like, and folks had big wonders about, shout out to the biggest finesser, you know what I mean? This is why Kansas City, they had people scratching their head like, Are they going to get back? Are they going to win? And then all of a sudden, you see these folks doing their thing. You start to see them actually give Chris Jones his money. And the team start playing tougher because they know that to win a whole championship, you got to have offense and defense. And so the defense, they collectively grouped around Chris Jones because that's their leader. They say he is the Patrick Mahomes of the defensive squad. So he had to do what he had to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm proud of him for stepping up. And then you had guys on the offense that went along and found their rhythm, like Rashee Rice. I think Rashee Rice is supposed to have a good game today. It's needed. If Rashee Rice doesn't have a good game, then that's going to put a lot of hurt on the team because Travis Kelce is going to be locked down or the pressure is going to be on him. The eye is already going to be out there. That San Francisco defense, I don't think that Kyle Shanahan is going to overlook, the things that these guys can do. And the pressure is going to be out there on the field. I mean, of course, I'm expecting a lot of blitzing tomorrow because when you blitz, you bring that pressure. And that's the pressure needed to be put on the quarterbacks. Once you put enough pressure, if you look at these championships the New York Giants have won, even though I know the Giants aren't in it right now, we are a solidified team. We do what we do. We play in the NFC East, the toughest division in all of football. And once in a while, every 10, 15 years, we pull out a championship or we do some things, Shout out to the NFC, shout out to the AFC. This year, it could have easily been Lamar Jackson had many people say, okay, because of Zay Flowers. In the last 5 minutes of the game, Zay Flowers could have done some things that this man could have helped their destiny become a lot more destined to win. But it didn't go down that way. He missed a pass. He missed another one. However, we knew that people understood that Mark Andrews was the number one guy. Because Mark Andrews, quiet as kept, he's also just like a Gronkowski or Travis Kelce because that's Lamar Jackson's favorite target. Sometimes if you don't win immediately, then they don't just give you the credit or they don't mention your name. That's what I'm trying to get to. They don't mention your name. However, there are sports fans and people that watch, just like in anything, maybe even your favorite music artist might have wonderful, great sounds, but they don't get pushed enough. They don't get seen until like some way they break the molds. Someone's taught to give them a little light, interview or something like that, and you never know. So I just think that today, even though there are going to be some closing interviews, you're going to hear them talk more about what is expected from the defense because we know what can happen. These guys, they have some offensive weapons. Okay? We have some problems in Wonderland because the San Francisco 49ers, quiet as kept, coming in as some real hungry Giants from the NFC after taking a good win against Detroit. Detroit could have won against the San Francisco 49ers, but they showed that will and that skill. And I do not see an easy game for either team. But do not be surprised if that San Francisco 49ers team defeats Patrick Mahomes and these boys tomorrow because they are dedicated and they are built up just as strong and they are ready. They just came off a great practice game. I'm not going to just say it like that, like a practice game, but the preparation that they had to get to this level, especially taking out that Detroit Lions team. Detroit was all that. They was ready. They had all the pieces in every corner and every space you needed in the house to live. And now we're going to see Patrick Mahomes and these dudes go up against a team that's thinking that this Super Bowl should be theirs too. Even though he wants his third, 3 out of 4, to be put more in that class and to solidify, his comparisons with Tom Brady, the great one. I mean, we're going to see what Isaiah Pacheco does because it's not just going to be Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce that's going to get busy for this man. You know, we're going to have to understand that it's going to take some plays from Isaiah Pacheco, get busy on the ground game. The ground game is always important because players get tired. The Super Bowl becomes a long game. Every second is just like a minute. So instead of it being, just 60 seconds, you're looking at like, a lot of pressure on you. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody wants to win, and that's kind of amazing right there. I'm just going to say it like this: everybody wants to win. We're going to take a break, and before we get out of here, say goodbye. Yeah. So we back, DonBoy 718. Just work to give y'all some closing hints. As I say, Patrick Mahomes is doing this thing, and a lot of pressure's on this man. He's 26, 28 years old. This is one of the youngest teams to ever get this far. As I said again, for them to win, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, they were going to have to show up today, have an A+ game, because I'm not going to look at San Francisco and say they should bring their A game, because they're going to bring their A game. San Francisco, they want this championship. Christian McCaffrey, he's never won. Very dominant running back. So we're going to see what happens here. It's going to be a close game. The most close to a blowout, I would say, if some separation gets created, if Kansas City goes on a run, maybe they might win. 10 to 14 points. But besides 10 to 14 points, I don't see this game getting out of control at all. It's going to come to a point where it might even be a comeback. Usually leads are extended in the beginning, and then someone makes a comeback, and the flow of the game actually starts to happen. So if you see it start to look like, okay, someone's slumping, that's going to get picked up. It's going to change, because the last game of the year, players actually go out there to get hurt. There's nothing else to do the rest of the year. You in the final game, you win the championship game, you want that ring, you want that chip. So they might be like, I could hurt my ankle, I could, go a little extra hard on the hip, or, put my shoulder, into it, get some surgery, or hell in the off season. It's going to be about who wants it the most, and I say put your money on, faithfully, the Kansas City Chiefs, because Patrick Mahomes is going in there wanting that third ring. It's going to be a big battle. They all going to be hungry. It's going to be a close one. I say no more than about 7 to 10, but should be a real good game. Real good game. Enjoy this wonderful Super Bowl weekend, and everybody put your bets out there. I think DraftKings might have some better odds than FanDuel right now. However, I've seen some FanDuel spreads that were really worth it. So it depends on you. If you have a little extra, I would say bet on both. But if you ain't got it like that, be precise. Do your thing. Be careful, because I don't want to tell you to go out there and lose money. But if you're confident, handle your business. Another great one. Thanks for the love and respect. DonBoy 718 to the world. Blessings.